Coming to you from the Deep South, this is the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast. High-impact leadership is not reserved for leaders, and it has nothing to do with your position, title, or rank. However, it does have everything to do with your character. It's time to climb to the next level and beyond, personally and professionally. Now, let's start making it happen with your host, Mac Story.
All right, thanks for stopping by today for part 6 of 30 in the Blue Collar Leadership Leading from the Front Lines series. And today we're talking about chapter 6 from the book. And today from my book, Blue Collar Leadership. So today, chapter 6 is titled, Be Better Tomorrow. And since I wrote Blue Collar Leadership, I've learned a quote, and I've actually read a book by the same title. But if I would have known this quote when I wrote the book, this quote would be in this chapter. It'd probably open the chapter or potentially even be the subtitle. But the quote is, and you've heard me say it before, I say it a lot since I've heard it. You don't have to be sick to get better. So when I'm talking about being better tomorrow, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with you today. You don't need to think there's anything wrong with you today. But do you want to be better tomorrow? That's what this chapter is about. Helping raise your awareness, helping you understand you do not have to be sick to get better. You just have to have a desire to get better. When you become more valuable, you will become more successful. And getting better is about becoming more valuable, not becoming more successful. Becoming more successful is a byproduct of becoming more valuable. And also, I talk about that a lot because you can't help people understand it enough. People get tangled up worrying about success, but what they need to be focused on is becoming a person of value and becoming more valuable. So Eric Hoffer, he had this to say. He said, if you have too little confidence, you will think you can't learn. If you have too much, you will think you don't have to learn. 2 reasons right there we're not going to get better. I think I can't learn. If I think I can't learn, I'm probably not going to get better. If I think I don't have to learn because I already know enough, I'm probably not going to get better. So that quote again, I want to read it one more time. If you have too little confidence, you'll think you can't learn. If you have too much, you'll think you don't have to learn. And that's actually arrogance. And you don't want to be arrogant. I always say there's a fine line between arrogance and confidence, and it's called humility. So I wrote Blue Collar Leadership to help those who want to develop positive influence with their team and the leaders because they aren't content continuing to do the same things the same way for the rest of their career. So I assume whether you're a leader or whether you report to a leader, you're on the front lines reporting to a leader, I assume you want to do more, have more, be more, that sort of thing. So you want to climb. And the way you do that, again, I can't say it enough, be better tomorrow than you are today. So I assume if you listen to these podcasts, that's why you're listening. You're trying to get from where you are to where you want to be. And if that's the case, your goal shouldn't be to simply go to work and do your very best to play it safe. Too many people, there's enough people playing it safe out there. That ain't going to get you very far. Your goal needs to be to go to work and make the biggest, most positive impact with and for your team. Not some days, every day. And I don't care if you're 18, 19 years old and you just started and you're on your first job and you listen to this podcast. You go to work to make a difference. You go to work to make a positive impact. And I'm telling you, you're going to be given opportunities that you can't even comprehend today. You're going to be given a lot of opportunity to do more, be more, have more, but it comes with accepting responsibility. We'll talk about that a little bit further down the road. But think about it. And if you listen to the last episode, I closed with Peyton Manning's quote, one of my favorite quotes. He says, the most valuable player is the one that makes the most players valuable. So think about it. If you were the coach, which player would be more valuable to you? The player who performs well by themselves, or the player who performs well and helps others perform well? It's common sense, right? But is it common sense? First of all, it's not even common sense, it's not even common practice to focus on performing well, much less focus on performing well with the intent of helping others perform well. Anybody can do it. You just have to make a decision that I'm going to play at a higher level than the folks around me are playing. So when I got to thinking, when I started growing and became intentional, which was in 2008 when I started reading leadership books and personal growth and development books every day, and I never intend to stop. And the reason is, it's the one thing I know that I can do today to be sure I'm better tomorrow. Every day. That's why I read something every day, or listen to an audio, or watch a video. Every day, not some days. Some people say, what about Christmas? Every day. And I encourage people, I say it a lot on my podcast, I say it from the stage, at a minimum, you should be reading at least a paragraph a day. That's nothing, 30 seconds. If you want to read more, that's fine. But give yourself that goal. That's the one thing that I know I can do. That's simple. It's within my control. Doesn't take a lot of effort. It takes a lot of discipline. It's just to read that paragraph every day. Most of the time, it's more than that. I'm just saying, make that a minimum. If you read the paragraph, you've kept integrity with yourself, and you can move on. Because the only person you need to be better than tomorrow is the one you are today. It's that simple. And you may not really have thought about it, but your family, without a doubt, and your company need you to play at the next level and beyond. And before you can do that effectively, you got to master the level you're at now. Too many people want to get to the next level, and they're not even performing well at this level. I've always found that kind of humorous. I see all these people who want to get promoted and get to the next level or get a raise, and they can't even do effectively the job they got today. Because if they're in a job today and they're whining, moaning, and groaning about it, what's that tell me they're going to do in their next job? If they're whining, moaning, and groaning about the job they have today, and they're sitting here saying, hey, promote me, I want to get promoted to the next job. Why would I promote that person? Why? I'm not going to promote anybody moaning, groaning, and whining. But that's what people do. They moan, groan, and whine a lot. Don't be one of those whiners. Be a shiner, right? I talk about that a lot. Too many people want to be somewhere else, which is great, but they haven't demonstrated and shown mastery at their current level yet. They haven't earned the right to be promoted. Their focus is on going fast, so they go slow. And I always like to say, you need to go slow to go fast. And Pat Pirelli had a great quote. I remember Pat Pirelli is a natural horsemanship trainer, kind of like people might have heard him call a horse whisperer, one of those type guys. But I saw him one time, and one of the things he always said was, take the time it takes so it takes less time. That's high impact leadership of self, of your team, of your organization. It's why a lot of organizations, they don't do leadership development. They're trying to go fast, and because of that, they go slow. They say that we don't have time to do leadership development of our workforce, of our team, especially the frontline people. But the best companies, they go slow to go fast. They're always growing and developing everyone from the top to the bottom and from the bottom to the top, left and right. Everybody's involved. Everybody's engaged. And because they do that, they leave everybody else in the dust. So as a whole, in long term, they're going super fast by going slow. So on a personal level, though, I want to leave you with a few things today. There's a question you need to start asking yourself today, regardless of your position, title, role, and all that stuff. This is about you as an individual. It's a question I'll be asking myself regularly for the rest of my life. Since I've heard it, I've been using it every day I think about this question. And it's about beginning with the end in mind. If you're familiar with the 7 habits, it's habit 2. Habit 2 is begin with the end in mind. And that's what this question is about. So since I first heard this question, I've never stopped asking it, answering it, and acting upon it. Or sharing it with others like I'm doing with you today. And also I share it in chapter 6 in the book. It's a guiding force behind my own personal growth. And this question has allowed me to move from wondering and wishing to being and doing. And it's shaped and continues to shape my life. This one simple question. And every one of us is someplace. However, most of us want to be in a different place, especially if we're growing and going, right? That's the mission, to get to the next level and beyond. And most of us are uncertain about what to do to move from where we are to where we want to be. So the question I'm going to share assumes you know where you're going. If you don't know, you need to nail down the answers to the following 2 sets of questions first. So I'm going to give you 2 sets of questions, like a front end set of questions and a back end set of questions. And after I do that, I'll tell you the question that needs to be in the middle, the one that's going to help you move forward. So the first set of questions will establish your starting point. It's real simple, but you got to know the answers. You can't just assume you know. You've got to know, who am I and where am I? Seems simple, but get that nailed down. Who are you as an individual, and where are you as an individual relative to your journey, whether it's professionally or personally? The second set of questions is going to help you establish your destination. Who do you want to become? Where do you want to be? Real simple. Who am I? Where am I? Who do I want to become? And where do I want to be? Get those 4 answers nailed down. When you do, they're going to reveal a gap. And I call this the success gap. The gap between those 2 sets of questions. The gap between where you are and where you want to be. And then this question is the question I've been talking about. This is the one that's going to help you close that gap. Will what I'm about to do move me in the right direction? It's that simple. It ain't that simple to do the right thing, but it's that simple to ask the question and know where you are and where you're going, and the question has meaning. That question is packed full of potential, just like me and you. The question is important. The answer is more important, but your actions are most important. You got to take action based on the answer to that question. And it's a simple concept, actually. When you ask, will what I'm about to do move me in the right direction? If the answer is yes, and you do it, the gap's going to close. If the answer is no, and you do it, the gap's going to widen. It's really that simple. Will what I'm about to do move me in the right direction? If the answer is yes, and you don't do it, the gap's going to stay the same or it's going to widen. If the answer is no, and you do it, the gap's going to widen because you're doing the wrong thing. If the answer is no, and you keep searching, the gap's going to stay the same until you find a yes answer and actually take action. So it's the capacity to develop and improve themselves that distinguishes leaders from followers. And that's what I'm talking about. Helping you, regardless of what level you're at, this book is all about how to lead yourself well. How do I lead myself well? You learn to lead yourself well, everything else in life is going to take care of itself. You're going to be noticed by the right people for the right reasons. That person may or may not be your boss. They may or may not be in the current organization you work in. But if you do the right things are going to happen. And then there's going to be choices that you have to make. You may want to stay where you're at. You may want to grow. You may want to move across the country. You may not be willing to leave the street you live on, or the city you work in. You've got to decide all these things based on those questions that I was just talking about. So whatever you do, find a way on purpose to get better every day. For me, again, it's reading. You'll have to decide what it is for you. But I'll talk to you next time.
Make it happen or someone else will. It might as well be you. Are you serious about taking your career and your life to the next level and beyond? Check out Mac Story's Blue Collar Leadership series books and others, now available on audio, along with paperback and ebooks at Amazon, iTunes, and Audible. Please visit bluecollarleadership.com to learn about Mac's books, programs, special offers, certifications, and more. Thank you for listening to the Blue Collar Leadership Podcast.